Let's go. Let's go play. Enough statements. I don't know what else to say. We made it through testing. We had to test 6 times to get to this game. So enough talk. Let's go play. I'll let you guys ask the questions.
Okay. Hang on. It's the first one. Okay, the first question is from David Hood. David, if you can go ahead.
Hey, Coach, this is David over TigerNet.com. Yeah, I guess are the players feeling the same way that the game plan is in? We've practiced, we've taken tests, that let's just go kick it off now. Can we go today?
If we could play Friday, the guys would want to play Friday. Yeah, it's, look, there's a similar feeling to, when you're in camp and you're practicing against each other. You get to that point where you're like, can we get this on now? We know Clemson, they know us. You got 2 really good football teams. There's a lot of excitement, and the guys are ready to play. So it's going to be exciting. Our guys have certainly committed, just like Clemson has made an incredible commitment to get to this point. As I mentioned, we had to pass 6 tests just to get to this game. They want to play. So that's exciting. Right? As coaches, you love watching your guys just, count it down to get to kickoff.
All right. Our next question is from David Teal. David, go ahead.
Brian, you mentioned Sunday night that you had kind of changed your approach after 2016, spent less time on X's and O's and more time with player relationships and instilling confidence. Was the embodiment of that confidence the 91-yard drive at the end of regulation against Clemson to force overtime?
It started before that, right? I mean, you don't gain that confidence on that drive. It had been in building the mental edge necessary, certainly, to go and do that, and that takes some time. I think, it's a culmination of things, through the previous few years to get the mental edge necessary to say, we're going to find a way to get this football down the field, whatever it looks like, we're going to find a way to get it in the end zone. So culmination of staying consistent with a process and building a mental edge with our football team over the past few years. So we could, when presented with that opportunity, have the right mindset that we were going to get it done. And that's what we saw with that drive.
All right, our next question is from George Bashura. George, go ahead.
Good morning, Coach.
Good morning, George.
Hopefully this is the simplest question you're going to get all day. What does the next 24 hours look like for you and the team in preparation for the Clemson game?
Yeah, we go to Mass here in about 45 minutes. We'll have team Mass. Father Wills will take us through our Catholic football Mass, which is approximately 18 minutes and 45 seconds. We call it the Catholic car wash. No disrespect out there, please. And then we'll go into meetings, and then we'll have a walkthrough in our indoor. We'll go over situational stuff, 2-point plays. We'll go over overtime. We'll go over some red zone situations offensively and defensively, onside kicks, things of that nature. We've got a number of different things that we go over relative to our Friday walkthrough. And then from there, we'll have a special teams substitution drill meeting. We'll do a little special teams, call it a day, shower, head downtown. We eat at the City Plaza downtown, a large ballroom, and then get on the plane and head to Charlotte. We just get a snack, go to bed, and it's Saturday. So pretty simple schedule.
Thanks, Coach, and good luck.
Thank you.
All right, and let's next go to Eric Hansen. Eric, go ahead.
Hey, Brian,
Hi, Eric.
a couple things. One, the first one is Clark going to be with you after this Saturday game? Is this his last game? And then with everything that's going to be going on with you, do you try to find his successor, shortly thereafter?
I guess you guys haven't been paying attention now. Clark is with us throughout the entire run here. He's not going anywhere. He's going to go down and do a press conference on Sunday, and that's it. As I said, when we have assistant coaches that go for head coaching positions, and we are in postseason play, they are going to be committed to Notre Dame and finishing off at Notre Dame, or they're not part of that process. So he will be here throughout the entire run that we have leading into a national championship. So he will be here, and I don't know if I can make that any clearer.
I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Okay, next let's go to Tim OMalley. Tim, go ahead.
Coach, I wanted to ask you about Cornell Powell, kind of similar to Javon McKinley with a late blooming career. How did he impress you in the game you played and on tape this year as a senior?
Yeah, we didn't get him on the ground. I mean, that was the biggest thing. He did a great job catching the football, but we didn't tackle him. And look, if we gave up over 150 yards and yards after the catch. If that continues, that trend, we're going to give up too many points. So the focus here has been on outstanding receivers are going to catch balls against anybody. It doesn't matter who you're playing against. In the NFL, the best corners are going to give up catches. You got to get them on the ground. So we've got to tackle better against both receivers. And that's really been the focus this week is they're going to get their catches and he's going to get his. Got to get him on the ground.
Okay, next let's go to Will Vandervoort. Will, go ahead.
Hey, Coach, just wanted to ask you, you talked about your teams want to play today and all, but being this is your first conference championship, I know it's exciting for you and the Notre Dame program. How do you keep your guys all week from just being ready too early? Because as you know, you want to maybe keep that energy level for game day on Saturday.
Yeah, no doubt, right? I mean, you're not playing today. We're playing tomorrow. We remind them, and they've got a pretty good sense. We've played a lot of big games at Notre Dame. So these guys have been in big games before. This is another big game for them. But they're on national TV all the time. And so they understand how they need to emotionally stay centered leading up to the big games. And so they're not playing the game on Tuesday or Wednesday. They do a really good job. And we do a really good job of making sure that we channel that. Today is Focus Friday. So they'll stay focused on what's important now.
Next, let's go to John Finneran. John, go ahead.
Hi, Brian. Wondering if you could tell us how you've come through these, all the testing that you've had to take leading up to this in regards to the fact that I noticed that the Sun Belt Conference Championship is off and other games have been postponed this week.
We're playing. We tested this yesterday at 8:45. We got our test this morning at 8:45. We had no positives. Same thing with Clemson. The game is on, folks. It's not being canceled. Both teams will be there in Charlotte playing the game. No cancellations. You can mark that down. We tested 6 times since our last game. So we're tired of testing. We know there's more testing ahead of us, but we're excited to be playing a game and being done with the testing for the opportunity to play in this game.
Next, let's go to Paul Sullivan. Paul, go ahead with your question.
Hi, Brian. Regardless of what happens in this game, do you feel like both of the teams, after what you've all both accomplished this season, deserve spots in the playoffs?
You know, whatever I say really has no merit on what those people are going to do in their room. And I respect the question. I really do. But whatever I say is going to be a soundbite that's going to come out 18 different ways. Here's the only thing I'm going to say. Okay. They got to figure out how to make sure that whatever sites they play at, that the parents are going to be watching their sons play. That's what they got to figure out. So maybe they need to spend a little less time on who the top 4 teams are and figure out how to get parents into these games, because it is an absolute shame and a sham if parents can't be watching their kids play. My kids have been on campus here since June. Okay. They haven't seen their families very much at all. They've had to fight through COVID. Some of them have had COVID. They haven't had to be, they can't be around their families for Christmas. I'm going to have them here for Christmas. I'm going to bring in families that aren't theirs during Christmas. And you're going to tell me we're going to have a playoff and maybe one side can have families and the other can't. Please. Somebody's got to wake up in that room and figure this out. Or you just might as well just call this the professional league, because nothing speaks to this is just about, having a playoff and we don't care about the student athletes. So I know I went off on a tangent, but I am so sick and tired of this playoff committee talking about having sites where you can't have parents at it and their families. It's ridiculous. Sorry.
Okay, next let's go to Pete Sampson. Pete, go ahead with your question.
Brian, just some depth chart stuff. I believe Kyron Williams and Robert Hainsey both sort of indicated Josh Lugg was starting at center.
Well, then why are you asking me?
Okay, I just figured you could confirm it.
Kyron Williams told you, then I would write it down.
Okay. And then also your number 2 quarterback, is Brendan Clark available? Is it Drew Pine? How does that sort of shake out?
Pine will be 2. Clark could play if necessary, but his knee is such that he'd be an emergency situation for us.
Thank you.
Okay, next let's go to Lawton Swan. Go ahead, Lawton.
Hey, Coach, sort of piggybacking off of what you were talking about a few minutes ago, we've seen programs like Boston College, et cetera, opt out of the bowl games. I mean, if the stakes weren't this large, has the testing been, I don't know if it's detrimental to the mentality of the kids and just the wear and tear of COVID-19? I mean, would you guys opt out if it wasn't what it is moving forward, the high stakes bowl games and college football playoff?
I'm not sure we'll play in the playoffs if parents can't be there, to be honest with you. Why would we play if you can't have the families at the game? So a bowl game, yeah, we would opt out. If you can't have families at bowl games, I mean, why would you go to a game where your families can't be part of it? What's the sense of playing a game, in an area of the country where, you know what I mean, nobody can be part of it? Yeah, so it doesn't surprise me at all. And look, there's so many sacrifices these kids have had to make. And, to go to a bowl game where there's no real opportunities for them to do anything, right? They're going to stay on campus. They may show up at the bowl game 24 or 48 hours prior to. So there's no real reward. Go home and see your families. You know what I mean? Go home for Christmas. That's the reward, really, more than anything else than playing in a bowl game. And it's just different. It's not the bowl game's fault. I get it. We're in a pandemic and there's, restrictions and things like that. But, we got to think about the student athletes in this situation and not having a chance to share this with their families after being away and sacrificing so much. You can see why they wouldn't want to play.
All right, next let's go to David Teal. David, go ahead.
Brian, how have you spent previous conference championship Saturdays? Have you been a fan and taken the games in on TV? Have you unplugged and just gotten away from college football? What's been your routine?
Good question. I was kind of thinking about that the other day. Generally, we're we're practicing and like the next day the guys have off or a couple of days off because we're kind of getting close to the holidays. So generally this is like a practice day, and then we release the guys, or we've just practiced on, like today is Friday. Like today, this would be our last practice day, and then we've released the players, and we'll see them at the bowl site. So that's generally kind of been the deal. So I've gotten a chance to see some of those games, the conference championship games on Saturday, because we've been off. It's been a day off for the coaching staff.
All right, just a reminder to use the raise your hand function if you have a question. Next, let's go to Eric Hansen. Eric, go
ahead. Hey, Coach, you don't have to worry about this question. It looked like you were worried.
I'm never worried with you, Eric. I'm never worried.
It's not even an injury question. But, after the 2016 season, one of the moves you made, and probably understated at the time, was bringing Amber Selking on board. And I know that she's been valuable in other seasons, but what about this season where you were just talking about all the sacrifices players have to make and the mental health balance and all this?
Yeah, she's been great. She's been great. I mean, her ability to, obviously touch base with our players, in a very difficult time, look, the mental health of your football team, and she has a role of mental performance more so than mental health. And so the mental performance end can also be affected if somebody obviously is not in a great state. So she's able to touch base with these players. She's able to stay in contact with them and help them, if they're feeling like, from a confidence level, they're not at the optimal level. So it's been really good and extremely helpful.
Thank you.
Next, let's go to Andrea Edelson. Andrea.
Brian, as a quick follow-up to what you were saying about families needing to be there, what would go into the determination about whether you make the playoff or whether you accept a playoff spot if you are in the top four? How are you going to determine whether you're going to accept that if there is no answer on whether families will be allowed to attend?
We'll talk it over, with our team. The players they drive this. I don't drive it. I'm echoing their concerns, right? I'm not the guy out there, making this up, because it's not about my family. You know what I mean? It's about their family. So I'm a voice for our team, and they're concerned. And so they're focused on the ACC Championship. So that's where their focus is. They're not going to be speaking about these things. But if in fact we're selected to be part of it, this will then be number one on their radar. So then, Andrea, I'll have to address it with our leaders as to how they feel about this. And certainly that will be the next topic that we'll address after the ACC Championship game.
Does this mean you would like to see the Rose Bowl removed as a possible playoff site because there is no clarity right now about attendance?
Absolutely. And look, removed, why can't it be the Rose Bowl in Las Vegas, or can it be the Rose Bowl in another town? I mean, I get it. I mean, it's just, where's the flexibility for the student athlete is all I'm saying. Let's be fun. The one thing these kids have been is incredibly flexible. And then on the other side, we can't be flexible. I mean, it's just, it's hard to imagine. So anyway, we'll deal with it. If we're fortunate enough to be one of the four teams, it's going to be a topic. And that's all I'm saying. And our guys may come out of it and say, you know what? This is what we're going to do. We're not going to wear a Rose Bowl patch. I don't know. I can't. All I know is that it is a number one topic for our guys if, in fact, they are selected.
Next, let's go to David Hale. David, go ahead.
Hey, Brian, I'm just curious to double double back on that. What do you think the reason is that this is even taking so long? Like, if this is as important to you and the players as it certainly should be, why wouldn't this have just been a thing that was already wrapped up by now?
Oh man, you really tradition? We're worshiping the ashes of tradition. I mean, that can be the only reason. Look, nobody's going to trade out this year for next year. Next year is going to be a revenue producing year. So nobody wants to come in and say, all right, we'll take it. So I'm not in that meeting. I can't imagine, what push has been, applied, but they're not thinking about the student athlete. And that's the issue. Maybe there's deals that have already been cut behind the lines that I'm not aware of, that they're going to get the parents in there. And this is Coach Kelly should get off his soapbox and shut up. And hopefully that's the case. But I'm just making it clear that if our team is selected and we're fortunate enough, the next issue will be, let's make sure that the student athletes get their families in to watch them play.
Okay, next, let's go to Chris Heidel. Chris, go ahead.
Hi, Coach Kelly. Thanks for taking my question this morning. What does it mean for you guys? I know you guys don't play you play independently during the year, but what does it mean to win an ACC title for this only, or maybe, I don't know how many years you guys are going to be part of this, but this, how special this year is?
Well, look, you're playing for championships. Our mission is to graduate and win championships. So this is part of, what we build this for. So yeah, this is the culmination of this long season, and we're not there yet. We have not fulfilled the goal that we all got when we were afforded this very unique opportunity, and we're extremely grateful for it. That the ACC has given us this opportunity. And so it's like anything else. You want to finish the deal. We've gotten this close, and our guys want to finish it off with a championship.
Okay, we have a few more minutes remaining. I'm just wondering if do you have any more questions? Coach Kelly. Okay, let's next go to Doug Farmer. I'll go ahead.
Brian, it seems to me there is somebody close to you could talk to about these Rose Bowl concerns. Have you and Jack Swarbrick had a conversation or two about this item?
Oh, sure. Yeah, Jack's on board, but Jack's one voice, one person. Jack has echoed his concerns about this as well. And I think Jack has been, on the forefront of it. But it's again, nothing has happened since, he's echoed his concerns as well.
Thank you.
Next, let's go to David Hale. David, go ahead.
Hey, a football question for you, Brian.
Well, if I didn't open my mouth, we could have stayed on football. So
you know how to chum the waters for us. I'll give you that. I'm curious about Kyron Williams. I mean, if you just look at his numbers, they're excellent, but I don't know that he's going to be, the all ACC player of the year, running back, Heisman candidate, whatever. But I feel like there's just a million things he does over the course of a game that don't necessarily show up in a box score that make you guys better. What is his, or can you summarize sort of the impact that he has? I'm thinking about particularly in the last Clemson game, the excellence in which he played blitz pickup and extending plays and stuff like that. What's the bigger picture impact that he has besides what you see in a box score?
Well, you're absolutely right on all counts. But the one thing that he brings that is different is an edge. He brings an edginess to our offense, a confidence. He breeds that edge that goes throughout our entire offense, a confidence, a swagger. And you can sense that when he's out there, and he with his size, he plays big, and that just rallies the group in that sense. So it's kind of one of those, I know we all kind of use this, but he makes others around him play at a higher level because they see this smaller guy playing aggressive, playing with a swagger, playing with an edge. And it really feeds on the other guys on the offense.
Okay, next, let's go to Paul Sullivan. Go ahead, Paul.
Hey, Coach. By taking the stance, are you concerned at all that the selection committee would look at that and say, well, maybe they won't play, so there's several other teams that would want to play for a championship, whether there's fans or not?
Here's what I said. I'll make it clear. This is up. All I've talked about is what the concerns are of my team. And we will address it if we're fortunate enough to be one of the teams. If we're one of the teams, then I'll talk to my group, and then they'll come out with a statement. It won't be Brian Kelly's statement. It will be Notre Dame and our players, and they'll make a statement regarding us. I don't know what they're going to say. They might say, "Oh, we're glad to be in, and this is much ado about nothing," or they might say, "We don't want to play if we can't get the parents in the games." So I really can't answer your question until we find out what's going to happen at the selection, whether we're in or not. So it's a bit hypothetical. If they decide to keep us out because coach is running his big trap about what he thinks, I probably should get in line with all the other coaches who run their mouth when they shouldn't be.
Okay, next, let's go back to Eric Hansen. Go ahead, Eric.
Three questions, Eric Hansen. This is a record.
This is like the old days before Zoom.
Yeah, no doubt.
I'll let you run your mouth off about football on this question. Mike Elston hasn't been your D-line coach the whole run there, but he's been with you the whole run. And my question is, what he does with your defensive line, the evolution of that position from when you walked in the door, can you give us his impact on your program and the ability to get to these kind of games and be competitive and win these kind of games with the defensive line position?
Yeah, so Mike's been with me 17 years, right? He's been with me at Central Michigan, where he coached the linebackers, Cincinnati, where he coached special teams and tight ends, he's coached a number of different positions. He's my assistant head coach. So he's been in a number of different roles. And, with the defensive line, we've seen, a development of these players to the level now where, they've dominated games. And so he's a great teacher. He's got great relationships with the players. He's got a great knowledge base being, obviously here 11 years. So, I think we've seen, a great evolution of our defensive line in the time that he's been here with me at Notre Dame.